If you're thinking about starting Mounjaro, there's a few things I wish someone had sat me down and told me before I even took my first injection. Because while Mounjaro has helped me lose 79 pounds now, some of the biggest lessons weren't about food, weren't about calories, or even the medication itself. They were about expectations, the mistakes I've made, things that have caught me completely off guard, and things that would have saved me months and months of frustration if I'd known them from day one. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing the 10 things I genuinely wish I'd known before I started Mounjaro. Not what the leaflets tell you, not what the adverts tell you, but the real world lessons I've learned over the past 12 months. And if you're just starting this journey, or you've even begun your journey already, some of these could save you a lot of confusion, a lot of disappointment, and a lot of unnecessary stress. So let's get straight into it. So one of the biggest misconceptions I had before starting Mounjaro was that the medication would somehow do all the hard work for me. I imagined I'd wake up one day and all the weight would have fallen off me. I'd take that injection every single week and the results would completely take care of themselves. And whilst Mounjaro is an incredibly powerful tool, that's exactly what it is. It is just a tool. What it didn't do for me was magically make healthy choices. But what it did do was make those healthy choices so much easier. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't constantly thinking about food. I wasn't standing in the kitchen wondering what I could snack on next. I wasn't planning my next meal while I was eating my current meal. And the reduction in food noise was an absolute game changer. But even with that advantage, I still had to make decisions every single day of my journey, choosing food that supported my goals, being mindful of my portion sizes, keep my body moving, and staying consistent even when the motivation wasn't there. In many ways, Mounjaro just gave me the breathing space that I've been missing for so many years. It silenced the food noise enough for me to make better decisions. Number 2, the first few weeks don't predict the future. Because when I first started Mounjaro, I became obsessed with the scales. Every loss felt like a win, every store felt like something had gone completely wrong, and I spent far too much time comparing myself to other people. What I didn't understand then is the first few weeks tell you very little about where you'll end up. Some people lose a lot of weight very, very fast, while others lose very slow and very little. Neither predicts long-term success because weight loss isn't linear. There will be drops, there's going to be stalls, there's going to be plateaus, and there's going to be weeks when the scales make no sense at all. And I know that firsthand. I had weeks when I thought I'd done everything right and I've barely lost any weight at all. And there's other weeks when I've expected to stand on the scales and nothing. If I judged Mounjaro on the first few weeks, I might have convinced myself it wasn't working. So if you're just starting out, don't panic if your journey doesn't look like mine or doesn't look like somebody else. Don't compare your week-on-week progress to one person's highlight reel. All you've got to do is focus on the consistency and give it time, because the people that succeed long-term aren't always the ones that start the fastest. They're the ones who stay consistent and keep going. Number 3, food noise is a real thing. Before starting Mounjaro, I had no idea what food noise was because it was all I'd ever known. I thought constantly about food and I thought that was normal. I thought everyone spent their day wondering what the next meal was going to look like, what they were going to eat next, finishing one meal, thinking about the next. Because food wasn't just fuel for me, it was entertainment, it was comfort, it was reward, it was habit, and I'll be honest, it was the highlight of my day. So what shocked me the most wasn't the reduced appetite, it was the absolute silence. Because within a few weeks of starting Mounjaro, that constant mental chatter started to fade. I wasn't opening the fridge out of habit. I wasn't standing in the kitchen looking for something to eat when I wasn't even hungry. For the first time in years, food stopped dominating so much of my life. And it's one of the hardest things to explain to someone that hasn't experienced it. One of the things I get asked all the time is how I got started in the first place and where I get my treatment from. And for me, that's been through Bolt Pharmacy. What I really liked about Bolt Pharmacy was how straightforward the whole process was. The online consultation was simple to complete, everything was reviewed as it should be, and the communication was clear and professional. As many of you know, I've documented my journey from the very beginning, and one thing that's always been important to me is sharing my honest experience, whether it's the highs, the frustrations, the stalls, or the lessons I've learned along the way. If you're considering starting your own weight loss or wellness journey and would like to learn more about Bolt Pharmacy, you'll find a link in the description below. As always, make sure any treatment is appropriate for you and follow the advice provided by your healthcare professional. If you follow my link, there is a discount off your first order. Now, let's move on to number 4. Right, number 4, side effects usually get more attention than success stories. Now, before I started taking the Mounjaro, I spent my fair share of time reading horror stories online. And the reality is that many people experience mild side effects or none at all. And it's important to be informed, but don't let the internet convince you that every journey is a disaster waiting to happen. It's always going to be the negatives. You're always going to read about somebody's had this, somebody's had that, somebody nearly died because of this. Honestly, the side effects I've had on this entire journey have been minimal. And that is very similar to the hundreds of thousands of people that are taking this medication. I've had the sulfur burps, I've had constipation, and I've had a little bit of bloated, and that is it. You're obviously going to check with your professionals, you're going to do your due diligence, but some of these horror stories, they are put out to get clicks, they are out to sell newspapers, as they used to say in the old days. Number 5, the scale will mess with your head. There are going to be weeks when you step on the scale, you've done everything right, you're expecting a fanfare, balloons, confetti and all the rest of it, and you look at the scale and it's exactly the same. There's also going to be weeks when it absolutely surprises you, blows your mind, because you feel, well, I've not had the best week, and you lose £3, you lose £4. What you've got to do is learn not to panic over these short-term fluctuations, and it's one of the biggest skills you can develop. I was a daily weigher. I used to weigh twice a day, and it consumed me. I've now trained myself to weigh twice a week, one in the middle of the week and one on my weigh day at the weekend. Don't let the numbers completely blindside you. The numbers on the scales are there to show that you're losing weight, but ultimately it is just a number. Look at the bigger picture. Look at how your body's changing. Look how your trousers fit better, or you've got a smaller t-shirt. And one of the biggest regrets I've got over the last 12 months is not taking enough progress pictures, not taking enough measurements. So if you're thinking about starting this journey, take all your measurements, take all those progress photos, because that is your badge of honor as you move along losing weight, not just governed and defined by what the number on the scale says every single week when you weigh in. Right, number 6 today, people will judge you. You will get told all the time you are cheating. You will get told all the time you're taking the easy way out. You will get told all the time, why don't you just eat less and move more? That is part and parcel of taking these medications. It comes with the territory, because that is truly what people who haven't experienced either being overweight or the food noise, they don't understand it, because that's how their life is, and they will not get why you're taking these medications, not one little bit, because you need to realize their opinions will not affect your results. What will affect your results is making sure you eat the protein, making sure you eat the fiber, make sure you track your calories. You're gonna get those people regardless. What it boils down to is there's nice people in the world and there's not so nice people in the world. Choose who you listen to. If you're going down this road for the right reasons, you've made a good decision. You've made a decision that can change your life. You've made a decision that could affect your longevity and your health, your mobility, and all those things. It is hard when people are giving you a hard time, but you've got to ignore it. You've got to do what you need to do to make your life better. Number 7 today. The closer you get to go weight, the harder it gets. Now that first 30, 40, 50 pounds can feel amazing. The last stone can take forever, because your progress slows, your motivation can start dropping, and complacency can creep in. And this is where consistency becomes more important than motivation. Now, if you've ever watched Usain Bolt back in the day when he was running 100 meters and he was beating everyone, when he got near the line, he'd look over his shoulder, he'd see he was winning, he'd ease off. And I liken my weight loss journey to that. I can see the finish line, I've lost a lot of weight, I've lost nearly 6 stone, and I'm easing off. And that's where the problem becomes an issue, because I'm nearly there. I can sense I'm nearly there. I know I'm nearly there. Everything's fitting so much better. My mobility's better. My health is better. But at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, I've lost nearly 6 stone. I can ease off a bit. I can eat that ice cream. I can eat that bar of chocolate, because haven't I done well? I've done amazing. Look at me. And that's where it becomes a problem. You've got to keep your focus. You've got to keep your consistency. And like me, hopefully, fingers crossed, I will get to that goal weight that I set a long, long time ago. Number 8, weight loss doesn't fix everything. And it is so, so true, because it can improve your health, it can improve your confidence, it can improve your quality of life, but it doesn't magically solve every single problem you've got going on in your life. You're still going to have stressful days, you're still going to have bad habits, and you're still going to have challenges to overcome. Now, I always thought that this medication, and if you watch some of my earlier videos, I always thought that this was about giving you the breathing space to allow you to learn these new habits that are gonna make sure that when you come off this medication, you live your life differently. I had a really bad week, probably 3-4 weeks ago now. I'll pop the link to that video on the end of this video. And I was off the rails for a complete week. I was eating what I wanted, when I wanted, and it was the old version of me again. And I've not done that probably for the entire time I've been on these medications. These things will happen. They are part of a journey. On a journey, you go uphill, you go downhill, you go round bends. All these little things, they're there to test you. It is part and parcel of it. Losing weight is not going to solve that. It doesn't 100% change the person you are underneath all this skin and bones and all the rest of it, and what's going on up inside your head. Things will go wrong, you will have setbacks, and it doesn't solve every problem you've ever had in your life. Number 9 is maintenance starts before you reach goal weight. Don't I know this? Now, ever since I started this, the niggling thought on the back of my mind is the worry of regain, the worry of maintenance, and what am I going to do? Bear in mind, I'm 12 months in. Didn't think I was going to be on this medication as long as I am. I still don't have a maintenance plan. I appreciate everyone that's put in the comments previously, this is what I'm doing, you should try this, maybe look at this option, maybe look at that option. I really do appreciate it, and I do take in every single one of those comments. But I still don't have a plan. If I was starting this medication today, I would probably go in with more of a plan as to what I was going to do when I reached goal weight, what my maintenance plan was going to be. And I'm not saying you can't change direction once you start this journey. And it may be that when I get to maintenance, when the fun really starts, I'll deviate from the plan that I start with. But at the very least, if you're going down this road, have a think, jot down some notes, decide what you think your maintenance plan could possibly look like, rather than losing 5-6 stone like I have done and then think, hang on a minute, I have no idea what I'm going to do now. Number 10, and the final one of today's video. This is a long game. It's longer than I thought it was ever going to be. I thought I'd start taking this medication, 3 months later, voila, I'm done. Look at me with my 6-pack. It's not like that, and it's a big lesson to learn. The people that succeed aren't usually the fastest losers. The people who keep going when progress slows, when motivation fades, and when life gets in the way. Like many people, I wanted results quickly. I wanted every week to be better than the last week. I wanted the scale to keep moving. I wanted the motivation to stay sky high, and progress to feel exciting all the time. That's not the reality. Because when I started this journey, I weighed 22 stone and 11 pounds. Today I am 79 pounds lighter. But that didn't happen overnight. It certainly didn't happen because I was perfect. It happened because I kept showing up. Even when my progress slowed down, even when I doubted myself, and that has happened a lot. So if you're just about to start your own journey now, my advice is simple. Be patient, give yourself some grace, don't expect perfection, and don't let one bad week convince you you've failed. Because, and this is a massive takeaway from me for this video, because a year from now, you'll almost be certainly glad you started. The question is whether you'll still be in the game long enough to see what you are capable of achieving. Right, that's where I'm going to leave it today. I'd love to know in the comments which of these 10 points resonated with you the most. As always, I read and reply to every comment, and I genuinely enjoy hearing all about your experiences. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you're new here, join me every single week as I continue to share the reality of losing weight with Mounjaro. I share the good, the bad, and everything in between. Thank you for watching, thank you for your support, and I will see you all for Saturday's check-in video.